I've just come out here for a breath of fresh air, and I can say that with no hint of irony. But when I first started doing hypnosis, I didn't do stop smoking sessions, and there was a good reason for that, and that's because I was still smoking myself. I mean, I wasn't smoking loads. I'd stopped smoking loads, around about the time when I had my children. But I was still smoking, and there was still a part of me that wasn't really ready to let go of that part of me that smoked, because for me, fundamentally, I thought smoking was who I was. I've always smoked. I started smoking at a hideously young age. I was 9 when I started, which is the same age that my youngest daughter is now. And the thought of her smoking just fills me with horror. It's just so perverse. It's so perversely wrong. But yet, I suppose it was a different era, wasn't it? I grew up in the 70s, and everyone smoked in the 70s. People smoked in airports and trains, and it's just, my family smoked in the house, all of my family, and I'm the youngest of 4. In fact, my parents smoked in the car, like we'd be doing journeys from to Glasgow, from doing London to Glasgow, which is where my family were born, and we'd all be in the car, my dad's marina, my mum and dad would be like smoking the whole journey, an 8-hour journey. It is a wonder I'm alive at all, but here I am. And do you know what? All through that time, I could say that the logical, intelligent part of me knew and knows, that, God, so that this handheld makes your hands not hurt, but it does. Anyway, yes, of course, a logical, intelligent part of me that knows that smoking isn't cool, But then there's always that other part, more deeply entrenched, that says, well, you say that, but it kind of is, isn't it? Cool people smoked. At least they did when I was growing up. You'd go to school and it was always the coolest kids at smokers' corners. The ones, the most interesting people you'd always find, even at work. They'd be the ones that you'd chat to outside of the office or wherever you're working. And even when I started teaching, there was already fewer people smoking, but the teachers that did smoke were always the most interesting in my mind, the most disaffected, the ones that saw themselves as outsiders, people that didn't care about being sensible or healthy, the Jack Kerouacs and the Bukowskis of the world, the whole mad, bad, dangerous to know. People who were not afraid to stick their hands up and go, fuck you, government, we don't care, we're going to kill ourselves slowly and painfully, who's with me, yeah. Do you know what I mean? But obviously the government are actually laughing at us the whole time, as because it doesn't matter how much they print those death warnings in the pack of packets, all those lovely little pictures of people with the amputated limbs and whatever it is. They know that smokers will still go out and buy those cigarettes because they've been hypnotised, haven't they? They've been hypnotised into smoking, or they've been hypnotised into the belief that it's so difficult to quit. And it's not difficult to quit. But it's quite hard to even have to admit to myself, having stopped at such a late stage in my life, having smoked all of those years and spent however many hundreds and thousands of pounds on it, it's quite hard to admit to myself that actually I had allowed myself, we always choose, I chose to be hypnotised by those really interesting comedians and writers over the years. I don't know if you've ever seen Bill Hicks, or talking about smoking, or even Dennis Leary. It's hilarious, and it's hard. Well, I found it hard not to be influenced by those people, and I suppose it's the same for some other people are influenced by people like Boris Johnson and Trump, and they're hypnotised into voting for them. So I suppose what we choose is all different. But regardless, there came a point for me a couple of years ago when I actually wanted to stop, like properly wanted to stop. And it was my dad dying, and it wasn't just that my dad died so much as it was a manner of his death. And watching my easygoing, laissez-faire dad, the terror, dying in that terrified way, was truly horrific. Because up until then, I'd always had such good associations. I'd share a cigarette with my dad. Whenever I tried to stop smoking, I'd always go around to my dad's, and we'd have a fag on the balcony, and vice versa. If ever he tried to stop, he could, probably count on me or one of my other siblings to give him a fag. It was a bonding thing. But when he died, the terror of the suffocation, watching him unable to breathe, watching the fear of him not being able to breathe was it was traumatic enough for me to make that decision. And I actually stopped the day that he was buried, and it was very much a conscious decision. And when I stopped, I used self-hypnosis, and it was very easy to stop smoking. I didn't get any of all the other experiences that I'd had up until now when I'd up until then, when I stopped smoking, I'd always either like tried a couple of days without using anything, and I'd broken down with anxiety or the terror or the feeling of loss or whatever it was, and I used patches loads of times. And I mean, the patches did actually help sometimes. They helped me to a degree, but invariably I'd always start up again. So it would make the withdrawal part of that, the first 48 hours a bit easier, but I'd always start again. I'd be out with a friend, and a lot of the time I was smoking with patches, which is just ludicrous. Anyway, when I stopped with self-hypnosis, it was easy, and that's what other people who've stopped with me mostly will say, that they just found it easy. They just literally, if something goes off, you turn it off, and the craving goes, the desire to goes, the urge goes, and that is the truth of it. It can be as easy as that. And when you're truly ready to stop smoking, then it can be easy, and nobody can really get you to that place where you're ready to open your door to it, when you're ready to feel it and believe it and want it for yourself. But when you're there, then self-hypnosis makes it easy. And if that's you and this speaks to you, then you can maybe check out my reviews, the Google reviews I've got, or you can look at my website, or you can just book a free consultation call with me, and we can talk about when you would like to stop smoking. And I cannot wait to be a part of that journey.